Greetings, greetings. This is Body-Culinary. So it's pretty early here. It's not that early. It's 4:29. So I am an early bird, and it's been in my personal experience that the early bird is the one that catches the sun, gets a lot done, while everyone else is sleeping. And it's one of the things I do to get off to a great start. So greetings for all those people that are early risers. It's such a whole nother energy. My grandma Lou got up when it was dark. So I guess we're an hour difference with those folks in the States. So coming to you first of all with just a lot quickie, because I am not into being a slave to my hair. So I've been resistant to covering my hair for many years. I just don't like a lot of stuff on me. But this is an old Rasta Cap that I get from the African Streets Festival many years ago. And I like it because when I got it, my hair was super duper short. If I had hardly any, maybe some short double strand twists. But the fabric is so nice and stretchy. And I can put this right on. And it goes underneath my shower cap. And I have to say, I have to admit, because I'm a big experimenter, my hair feels, how can I say, more than moisturized, it doesn't feel dried out. So I can definitely feel a difference when I wear a cap. So yes, and I try to remember to put a cap on. I feel a difference in my hair. And it's really good when we do our own personal experimentation, because you can follow so many people on social media with their hair, with their fasting protocols, with their diet regimens, but there's nothing like personal experience and personal experimentation, right? And I know, especially with this hair, I have to see what works. So yeah, and I always have stragglies here because I know when my hair is very dry, it will look like straw. So my super lock quickie today is really just a massage and just pulling it out. So my hair, it seems like it grows like a turtle on crutches, right? Because I have not twisted my hair. I can't even tell you when the last time is that I twisted my hair. And so, well, sometimes it seems like it's not growing. I know that it is, but this is what has to have been like at least 8 months or 9 months where I just where I combine this and let it grow together, and they're coming in. This is flat. But it just always looks so interesting in terms of it doing what it wants to do. So I submit to that. So all I'm doing, if you think of like what folks do with preening and all that stuff, so this is not loose natural, but just massaging it and separating it so gently, because my hair will break at the drop of a dime. I have noticed, I would say hard-headed, but more like personal experimentation, over washing it really stripped it, and that in addition to wearing lots of beads, I found like 2 of my locks broke off yesterday. But I just let them go. So these are much more stable. So for anyone that wants to do semi-free form, I would say having a decent amount of locks that are not trying to have tiny locks. These started with double strand twists. They'll have some kind of a support base, because this is so light and fluffy. If I pull this, it's almost like flat, like a piece of paper. So my hair definitely feels better when it is left alone. So it's really just a massage and to leave it. Also, I've gone long periods, I would say year and a half or more, with absolutely no oil or anything in my hair. And so between that and overwashing it from being in the garden, that's what's it's causing a lot of breakage. So I broke down and just put a natural hot oil treatment in it. And some light oil. There's an oil here that's called Cahoon. But in general, I don't like oil on my face. I don't like a bunch of grease, because I'm a person that had a lot of acne. So that's no bueno. So I put a little water bottle with some water for my filter, a little bit of essential oils, shook it up. And that's what I'll spritz from time to time. And that's it. But all that grease and all that oil is not for me. So this is just massage in here. And I'll also say, somebody with very fine hair, a lot of styles don't look great. Or let me not say are not complimentary, because it's so puffy right here. This is where the average person would want to slick this down with gel, but I'm not doing all that. So I always feel like it just looks, it's just interesting. So it's like finding what complements it. And then also, if your hair is not very long, the weight, when it finally grows up and it starts to bend over, then you'll have a little bit of weight where it starts to look like it's hanging. So it's just such interesting here in terms of doing what it wants to do. And I used to put headbands and all this other stuff, but it's just too much. So for me, just a middle part and leaving it like this is good enough. And I just lay these down because I'm not doing all that gel stuff. And maybe I'll tuck it behind my ears or put a very, very loose, when I'm exercising, a loose hair holder that does not totally, like, not a thin rubber band. The thin rubber band can also give you weak spots in your locks. And this is definitely for those people with very thin, fine, delicate hair. So when you get those dents in your locks, it will cause like weak spots. So things that are big, thick scrunchies that don't pull your hair, because also everything hurts my hair. Any kind of pulling hurts. So I have to be really, really delicate because it can't take it. It cannot take much. And just yesterday, two just fell off. So in terms of here, and I know it's from having beads and other stuff in my hair. So you live and you learn. Hey, oh, greetings. Thank you. Whenever someone says I have beautiful locks, which I've had my hair natural or my return to natural for about almost um, 30 years. And when somebody, says I have great skin, listen, my face was looking like the sidewalk, right? And then also, I really love being natural, but this is like going natural all over again in terms of just understand what I feel feels, cute, feminine, and complimentary to this hair, because it's a lot of styles just don't look great on it. The color, the hard water I found will make my hair look gray. I don't like the grease, so I really have to be still and settle into what feels comfortable. Also, I find here and learn many lessons on how to care for it the hard way. The less I retwist and leave it alone, the more it thrives. And I have to say, I've learned a lot from sister locks, right? Um, that in terms of being in the chair and all that stuff wouldn't appeal to me because I have other stuff to do. And actually, one of my good dear friends had the most beautiful sister locks I've ever seen. And I've known about sister locks for um, well over a decade, like almost 2 decades that I've known about sister locks. But just in terms of the time and expense didn't appeal to me. But if I ever had someone do my hair, um, my dearest friend Kamora is the only one. There's not many people I let put their hands on my hair. She had the most beautiful sister locks. When they first, I saw them when they first came out. The most of the people I saw had these big puffy ends, and I didn't find it attractive. But oh my gosh, she's so meticulous. Her hair was stunning. Now, what I do see with the sister locks, and which I think is great, is they don't have a bunch of oil and products. And just if you just tune in, you can feel this feels good when it's left alone, because the slightest bit of pulling will give me those bumps in the back that let you know too tight, and that's damaging, pulling the hair out at the root. And also anything pulling here, it literally hurts. And I remember once way back in the day having some cornrows, and I was working on an airline. I went on a flight, and the sister had braided my hair so tight that literally it pulled my hair out from the follicle. And actually, when I was on the aircraft, my hair was like throbbing. I had to put ice cubes on my scalp. I was looking for things in the first aid kit or on the airplane to put on my scalp, Vaseline on my scalp. By the time I got back from that trip to Miami, I literally took a scissors and I just had to get it out. I cut the braids out. I didn't care even if my hair got cut. That's how painful. And I was almost like pulling the braids out of my hair. So, hot combs, traumatizing. Perms with scabs, traumatizing. Braids too tight, traumatizing. And then I've also spent money to go to really good braiders that are educated, very clean, don't braid tight. I love cornrows. But I definitely noticed with this fine hair, when my scalp is exposed like this in cornrows, no matter how much money I spend, if I spend 100, 120 or more on cornrows, it itches profusely. I never made it more than maybe 3 days. It just didn't work. So didn't work with my fine hair. So as I researched, just all of that exposure with fine hair, it just starts itching like crazy. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's like, although I love the fresh face of the women that wear natural makeup that doesn't look clownish or more natural, but finished. I feel like I have plastic on. In addition to, I don't want to put toxins inside of my skin. So, it's just really, I've always been on well, I've not always, but for many decades, I've been on a path of submitting and listening to what my body is saying. Pain, adipose tissue, fatty tissue, my joints, the body's constantly communicating with us. And a lot of times we don't want to listen, or we're so pressured, from the outside. So that's my lock quickie. That's super. You can't get no quicker than that. We got my cap here, right, which I think is cute. And this is one of those things you'll have for years and years and years. Right? Fits under the shower cap. Spritz it in my little water bottle with rosemary and lemongrass, which is a mood lifter. Let me see, lemongrass and maybe a drop of peppermint oil. That's it. That's it. Massage. And for the pieces that's sticking up, all I do is go like that. Okay. So just this early day, I just wanted to touch on, because this is my power hour. My mind is so clear. Ideas are so clear early in the morning. And I see why my grandma Lou got up early in the morning when it was dark. She said, get up and wash your moat. I have a cup of tea, just start with her chores, organizing food, even dinner, cleaning something, organizing, getting tasks done early, early, early in the day. And it's something for me, I know that works. So I just wanted to touch on, what are you called to? And what I mean by that is, do you listen to like instructions? Now, I'm not a religious person, although I grew up in a family of deacons and all kind of religious stuff. I would say I'm a common sense person, because at this point in life, spirituality is responsibility, right? So, all our thoughts and stuff, we hear, you could call it voices or awareness or consciousness, whatever you want to call it. I'm not into the Mukaju, but we get instructions all the time. And so I can definitely say I've noticed patterns of my ideas uh, are very clear, creative ideas. If there's a problem, let's say I was working on with, let's say I was going through, something with my son, or issue at work, how to handle it. Let's say if it's really overwhelming, I notice solutions or ways to handle it come to me very clearly early in the morning when the world is very, very quiet. Inspiration to exercise, to clean, all of that. That's the energy I find consistently for years in the early morning. I've done all kinds of self-experimentation. There was a point when I would even get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. That may seem extreme to people, to do my personal yoga practice, because usually by 6 o'clock in the morning, I would have a personal training client in front of me. So in order for me to leave the house with food, to have food prepped, for my family, in attractive bags and all that stuff, get some kind of cardio, whatever, I would get up at 2. Because I know that particular yoga practice is all about consistency. And so even though some days it was chilly and I was like, oh my gosh, to go on this yoga mat when it's cold and I'm still sleepy, I never regretted it, not one time. And this may be a concept folks don't want to deal with, or it's hard to swallow. But I've always found I get more energy after the exercise, even if I felt kind of tired. We always think of food creating energy, but certain activities I find give me a tremendous amount of motivation and energy, not just physical energy from food, but mental and emotional energy, and also um, a type of motivation that sticks, because it restores my personal integrity, right? And so, I mean, keeping your promises to yourself. So by the time it's 6 o'clock in the morning and I have clients in front of me, and I have all these clients struggling with losing weight, and they would tell me about, if they had this binge with alcohol or they fell off their program, um, it had a whole nother effect. I feel even more committed, and so in integrity, and made me proud of myself for keeping my word to myself and getting up early when I have all these successful people in business and lawyers and some doctors. And one of the hardest areas for most folks to maintain is their integrity with themselves around their eating and their personal care. Isn't it interesting? Highly intelligent, highly accomplished people. But I find most folks, the area of personal integrity, keeping their promises to themselves when it comes to health and fitness is usually lacking and usually not consistent. And why is that? We can say that's for several reasons. I've observed one of the reasons is because of the amount of pleasure we associate with food. Take in consideration that there are many people, professionals that may be single or even if in a relationship. You can be in a relationship and you still have your own lone path you have to do. You know, your husband may have their physical path and their body type and their muscle or their weight problems, and you have yours. So trying to do everything with your spouse sometimes doesn't work out. You have a different body type. If you're a mom and you have to prepare lunch, it could be challenging. You know, most moms I know would eat the leftover food from their children. So there's so many habits and emotional connections to preparing food and caring, you know, for others. So these patterns give like me insight. For all that to say, getting up early has always worked for me. I never regret it, and movement uh, has never failed me. And then also, I'm able to hear instructions. So, for example, um, this early day when I woke up, and it's not the first time, just what I hear is like, you know, it's a good time to fast. Now, I'm trained in nutritional fasting. Um, yeah, 7 days, um, 14 days, 21 days for years. But on the whole, for me, I notice a lot of times I will not fast because I don't care for the mental extremes, and I never want to be condemning or judging myself. I usually find that that's what undermines folks. And the majority of the people I've seen working in a holistic health center for many years um, binge before a fast, and then many fall off, but then if they get into a rhythm of the fast, after the fast, people are so anxious in the mentality to want to, I can't wait till this fast is over so I can have this, or that. That mentality usually um, leads to most people splurging after the fast. So it's a mindset and a mentality, right? And so when I'm drawn to fast, I don't even maybe like the word so much fast, but it's more about for me listening to my body. Do I have old undigested food? Right, perspective is everything. Like, do I need to let my body metabolize old digested food? Do I feel like right now eating and preparing a bunch of food is a distraction to me from goals that I'm working on, and spending so much time making gourmet dishes in the kitchen is taking up a lot of time, you know, or I want to be able to hear more, you know, or my body needs a rest. So that's the perspective I'm coming more so in fast, rather than beating up on myself. I want to get super duper skinny, you know, I want to look like this person on Instagram. There's so much to be said for the perspective that we're coming from. So for a while now, when I tune in and listen and I get quiet, the instruction that I get is to body needs to rest right now. We don't need to metabolize so much food and be burning off and working hard. Now that being said, I always prioritize keeping my nutrition at a high, at an all-time high. That's important. So, and I had a really good teacher when it came to fasting. So many people want to do water fasting, and just like all diets can yield certain results, different types of fasting can yield different results. However, I've observed that most people don't put things into a practical concept for themselves. So with nutritional fasting, which was the basis, the main fast that fasting that I'm trained in, is this constant nutrition going into the body. So it's more about juice fasting, you know, so there's nutrition. Now, that being said, you know, being on this path for about, you know, 30 years or so, if not more, there's so much to be said for the amounts, fiber, satiation. Are we just pouring, guzzling down large amounts of fruit juice? Again, still the same mentality of pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Nobody usually wants to take the bitters, you know. But this, I've gotten so much information from, if the body or excuse me, your mind or your spirit or your essence is telling you that your appetite is too stimulated, from salt, and too stimulated, too much entertainment is going on, So there's a time to enjoy gourmet foods, but a lot of times we're in entertainment, cycle. So I can just feel me being led to time to just be quiet for a while, The entertainment of gourmet food is not going anywhere. You can make creative food at any time. I can relax. That's not going anywhere. But I definitely feel a calling to be quiet when it comes to eating and food, if that makes sense. So I'm going to be, and I can't believe I'm saying this because usually I'm very wary of extremes, and definitely I'm very cautious and careful when people ask me that know that I do fitness or training. People usually want me to give them a quick, if I was to go to a party or gathering, please give me a workout program. What do you do for this? I want to do a fast. Do you fast? And so people want a quick fix. They want to do something quick. And it usually, the majority of the time, 99% of the time, it doesn't pan out into something sustainable that people can, that they do on a regular basis or consistent or prepare themselves for, understand the nuances of what they're doing, how to break the fast and do it in a very relaxed and sane way, which, if people would dial in more, most likely they can mitigate a lot of the cleansing crises that come up, when the body's letting go of waste. It can be just a much more pleasant and calm process. So if anybody is interested, and doing a fast. It may not be the way that you think about it. So it won't be a water fast. I'll tell you that right now. But there is going to be a fast 3 days, 7 days, and 10 days. So let me know if you'd like to join in on that and that private group. Hit me up in the DM and I'll send you the information. So that's going to be starting shortly. And so there will be a preparing for it so that we can go through the fast and making sure you have enough so that you're satiated during the fast. And also the goal is to make it very simple, not a big deal, not posting it, to everybody, letting everybody know that you're fasting. It's something that's very personal. It's like with yoga, where many of us are attracted to the show-offy poses, when the practice is actually really quiet and kind of almost designed to get you to be quiet about your practice and to turn inward. And so I know the style of yoga that I'm really attracted to is one where there's no talking and there's no music. So it really allows me to go inside, right? And so it's given me the deepest feeling of rest, almost even more than sleep. So more on that yoga practice and another video. And so, what are you called to do? Do you have any kind of instructions? Um, are your intelligence, your natural intelligence? I think that's a good practical way to put it, not being too esoteric. What does your natural intelligence call you to do in terms of what kind of interest does it pique? Are you called to do any kind of dance or movement without being a professional, maybe even without taking a class? How are you called to move? What it's like if you look at produce and certain produce stands out to you, when you're picking your own produce. If you're looking through a catalog of classes to take, something is going to pop out to you. If you're looking to select your clothes for the day, usually something will pop out to you. This is an intelligence. And in terms of our life path, we can read lots of books, and I love reading. That's great. Avid reader and an avid maintainer of many, many expensive libraries. But there's another kind of innate intelligence that leads you to even click on this channel, that will lead you to experiment with your hair or try things on for size. Are you able to hear that? And I make a distinction at this age between, how can I say, the essence of your intelligence, your innate intelligence, and then also the ego, or that sense of self that does have a purpose to protect you, really. But sometimes it goes into overdrive and it can take out the host, right? So I usually have little litmus tests, and I know that my ego usually sometimes can get it can do something to an extreme that could potentially take the host out. It will want to do 5 hours of exercise or look better than others, compete with others in the class, be very controlling, but it has a purpose to protect you, right? This is an intelligence, but we identify with it, right? It also will loop old to try to almost subconsciously fix it. You know, things that traumatized you, perhaps that you saw with parents or older people around you when you were small, you tried to subconsciously fix it. But sometimes it will put you into certain kinds of situations. So I can distinguish between that voice and intelligence, and the essence of my spirit will never harm me and will never harm anybody else. So let's say when I'm doing a nutritional fast, I have enough common sense to know I need to make sure I'm hydrated and I have enough nutrition. So that's a nice, calm process without a whole lot of extremes. You know, I know that I have lots to do on my schedule. I know that I need to set myself up to win to make sure I'm not skipping the amounts of juice or whatever it is I'm going to be drinking in order to be successful. That I don't want to binge before and binge after, you know, a fast. So I know that it's going to give me more clarity around things I want to be creative with in business. So I know that that voice of my, if we call it that your intelligence, that your essence and your intelligence, will only do things. It has my best, literally has my best interest and my health. You know, that's what it has in mind. It won't harm me and it won't harm others. But that ego is usually what's ready to fight when it's offended. You know, I'm going to show this person, and it gets blind. It can get blinded by rage, or blinded by comparing me myself to others, if that makes sense. So when I'm listening to the intelligence, innate intelligence, I want to distinguish and discern which voice, you know, or which part of my intelligence am I listening to? Am I listening to an intelligence that will have me only look at somebody on the surface value and get with somebody that I haven't properly vetted? So we're taking instructions all the time. I know I'm pointing, right? Like it's in the brain, like it's a left and a right, right? Like they say the devil on his side and the angel on his side. Really is no such thing. It's just intelligence. You make up all these figures and symbols to help us process information. So this fast that I'm going to be starting. What has come to me is this the why, first of all, and many people are fasting to lose weight, and that's something that can be very tricky. Actually, I'm very, very intentional around that because people don't distinguish the types of weight, and we can develop all kinds of psychosis and neurosis around just what we look like physically when where our mind is at, and usually a lot of trauma is really what's driving our behaviors. And so I've observed that that's why many people don't maintain a fitness program or healthy eating. So this particular fast is going to be a trigger protection fast, right? And I call it that because there's a beautiful piece that I came across called the trigger protection mantra. So I think I put the video on my Instagram page. If you check out Body-Culinary on Instagram and you scroll down, you'll see, and I think I have it on my Facebook, but if you go on Instagram, it says it's called Calm Down. And there's an artist named Janae Eiko. Oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful piece of music. It's a real simple, it's not spooky dooky and chimes, whatever, but it is literally so calming. So usually when I find something that's really beautiful and beneficial, I shared it with so many people. And many people are like, what is that song that you're listening to? And it's called a trigger protection mantra. So this fast is, I'm going to focus it around trigger protection. Why? Because in the early day, when you have all of that motivation to fast, to exercise, to get your life together, you let me know what you think in the comments. But usually by the time the folks in your house get up, whether it's your spouse and the children and the phone starts ringing and you start opening up social media, you lose your motivation. When gossip starts coming into your ear, people start complaining and problems, you can lose your motivation. So the ego kicks in, which does have a positive purpose, but it kicks in and is constantly responding to these stresses to protect itself. So usually we'll find ourselves munching mindlessly, not with nutrition, as at the front of our mind, usually just to calm ourselves down and to soothe, like a pacifier, and to self-medicate while we're going about all of these tasks that the job places on us, and that being a responsible parent places on us. So we're constantly triggered. We're triggered by the violence that we see on TV. You can be triggered by what you see on YouTube. You're triggered by these different debates. You're triggered by what the president is saying. Uh, Many of us have triggers from things, trauma that has happened to us when we were younger that hasn't been acknowledged. So I've observed that these triggers are constantly what has us eating mindlessly. And so we don't have a sense of peace and calm. So I've definitely found that whole, fresh, unprocessed, cruelty free, peaceful eating. Notice I didn't say the word vegan, even though it is whole, fresh. Like when I say whole, you can still recognize the food as a whole food. It has all of its living water intact. Whole, fresh food, right? With its kind of, if you think about it, you have life force. So the food has life force in it and doesn't have blood spill. So it's cruelty free and it's peaceful. It's not strenuous on your body to digest. Peaceful eating has been huge and tremendous in my toolbox of self-care. It is what has cleared my skin up from a lot of acne. I don't put anything, there's nothing on my face. If anything, I put food on my face, and it works. No proactive or anything. And I had quite a case of acne. You can look at some of my older videos or even the banner on this page. But it has been huge because I can also eat until I'm satisfied. The food is nutrient dense, has all that water in it. And so even those times where, even if I were to mindlessly eat, I'm brought back to present because this food is so nutritionally dense and it's furnishing my brain, you know. So it has been huge. It's not something that will necessarily leave and accumulate more waste on your waist. And it's not, if you're having an episode in your mind, you're being mindless, which happens to many, if not most of us, you're not damaging your body so much. Now, that being said, you can go OD on a bunch of nuts, and avocados, but it's such a dramatic difference. So I'm just sharing with you my insight of why um, I prefer to eat whole, fresh, living, unprocessed, what people say is raw food or raw vegan. But I have a tendency not to focus so much on those labels because, again, the ego can start feeling a sense of superiority because I am this thing, I am this vegan, I am this, this label. I found it more effective and introspective to focus more on the whys and the behaviors. So that being said, this fast is going to be a trigger protection fast. And it's to really pull in and to, first of all, furnish our bodies and our brains with a lot of gentle nutrition, nutrient dense, right? A lot of nutrition that's designed for the body that the body can absorb very easily without a lot of stress, suck up the nutrients and easily pass out the waste. So you're getting lots of nutrition. You're actually getting food and nutrients, but things that are not going to require a whole bunch of energy to digest. So you can feel satiated. Now you can relax and start to notice what else is going on in your mind and free up so much more time so that you can focus on other things. Um, and the calm and the peace can really be a great asset to your emotional health and your mental health. And those, they go hand in hand. It's so linked to how we eat and what we eat and when we eat, if we're eating and overeating mindlessly late at night. So it's not that I'm some saint, and people are like, oh, don't you ever eat this and don't you eat that? And just, I think of perspective, there's certain things that I noticed that work, that are consistent. And rather than judging and condemning myself, I'll sit back and I notice. So the trigger protection fast, which just came to me this morning, is really about noticing the triggers and being able to maintain calm, because first of all, you're nourished when these triggers hit, and so you can just notice the dialogue that's going on and not be so reactionary, and at the same time allow your body to release a lot of waste, right? And so just with a simple natural lifestyle, it has so many benefits. So for example, with my hair, I don't worry about my hair anymore, and that's something I always wanted. Like to play my hair with styles, but for the most part, my hair doesn't like to really be messed with, and I don't want to my hair to hold me back from exercising and sweating. So now this is off the list. I don't have to worry about it. When it comes to my food, I know that it's nutrient dense. It's the best possible food that I can get. It's not cruelty free. It's it's flexible. I can get food and I can eat wherever I go. I don't worry about the stove. So that's another area that I don't have to worry about. So I'm freeing up brain space so that I can focus on creativity, things I want to create, tapping into different gifts, right? And then what is my purpose, right? What I'm supposed to share while I'm out here. So I'm going to be doing a trigger protection fast. And so I invite you to check out that it's a little teeny short video. And I'd love to hear what you think of that song if you haven't heard it already, if I haven't sent it to you. But if you look at this little video, it says calm down. And so try it today. When you feel like you're triggered, you may want to even put it on before, because if it's still early, before the rest of your family members get up, or before you start interacting with people. And so look at the video, teeny video, and listen to it. It's just, all it's saying is calm down, but it's so peaceful, it's so relaxing. And before you eat today, before you put something in your mouth, just put it on, put it in the background, and notice if you show up differently, if you're able to interrupt the automatic pilot of constantly being triggered, response, mindless eating, um, mindlessly responding, to people that may trigger you. This could be coworkers or those people who really might grate or irritate you. Are you able to maintain and stay neutral and stay in your calm and your peace? Are you able to stay refreshed and just as inspired as you were in the early part of the day? Can you still feel your inspiration and motivation in the middle of the day or after someone has potentially triggered you? Are you able to neutralize it? That is neutralizing being triggered actually takes, I've found, you let me know if it's different. It takes a lot of support, creating a lot of support around myself and cultivating that as a habit. Fitness is also, and vigorous movement is tremendous, tremendous. First of all, the internal shot of hormones and internal drugs that I get, where I'm not a person that's drawn to alcohol or weed, it just has zero appeal for me. I don't need these exogenous things to make me feel calm, which I feel very fortunate about, having seen so much substance abuse growing up and watching it destroy people's lives. So I can really get high by dance and release with dance and with music. But the triggers, neutralizing those triggers is huge, has tremendous implications. If we can neutralize the triggers and cultivate a way to stay peaceful in a very realistic and practical way, that would totally, can you imagine what that does for how we're able to eat and to choose and be very present and intentional in all of our choices without being triggered and just reactive? Because being feeling panicked and anxious and being in a panic and anxiety ridden state when you make decisions, quite often that's when we make some poor decisions, right? That's quite often we can make some poor decisions. So hopefully this video has given you just a bit of inspiration this early day. I invite you to keep your eyes peeled, which is easy to do when we're calm, for optimal fuel, whatever is the most optimal fuel that's available to you and your budget, whatever you have available in your kitchen that you can prepare for yourself today. Slow down from the inside and take a little time to or take some time to prepare it in a calm way, in a peaceful way, because this is the energy, it's your state of mind when you're preparing things. Can you maintain calm and peace when you're nourishing yourself? How does that state of mind affect your decision making? How are you able to move, throughout your day? So choose optimal fuel, and, without the labels. Are you able to choose food that is cruelty free? First to me, then to everybody else, right? Cruelty free. The context I'm saying cruelty free in, it's not jacking up my breasts. It's not clogging my arteries. It's not leaving waste on my waist. It's not I'm angry and I'm stressed, so I'm eating it. It's not leaving that kind of deposit um, inside of me, energetically, in terms of the mood that we're in when we're eating food. That's what we see manifesting on us in weight. And some people manifest as adipose fatty tissue, and some of us it will manifest in a tumor, a cyst, or a growth. And remember, we have all kinds of chemicals in the body. Um, Anger also has a place and a role, right? It is a natural response when you're being put upon or violated. But to calm down and to notice anger, notice your emotions, and see how we can be guided by what to do, what our intelligence, right? Our intelligence that doesn't have an intention to harm us or to harm anybody else. If we can slow down and not be so triggered, we can truly be observers. We don't necessarily have to sit in the ashram all day. Because if you go to these ashrams, which I did, for years, actually teachers and meditation teachers and gurus would tell you the most challenging and the most spiritual thing to do is to be a householder. And they will say a householder is someone that's out in the world that has family and regular responsibilities. I remember a guru saying that they get the most grace because it's more easy to go sit in a cave where you're not being challenged and you're not being triggered. It's more easy to be spiritual then and have these lofty insights. But when you have children tugging on you, and your spouse can't find their keys, and you got an unexpected bill, or somebody had to go to the hospital, or somebody grumpy is sitting next to you on the train, or you've seen some crazy, news, that's a lot more challenging. So I'll never forget this teacher, that householders get the most blessings and the most grace. The people that are actually out in the world doing work and doing it with, just digging in, embracing life, and being in the meditation of interacting with people and fulfilling your daily responsibilities, because it's the householders that make the world, go round, the ones that go to the jobs and deal with the children. And actually in the yoga practice, interestingly enough, in the yoga practice that I really have gravitated to, the teacher encouraged marriage, right? Encourage folks to get married and to be householders. Again, saying that those some of the most spiritual people, they get a lot of grace because they're out in the world. That is your meditation, your duty, your dharma, fulfilling your responsibilities. So with that being said, folks, create a great day. Feed yourself the most optimal fuel that is cruelty free. And yes, it will make you, it can foster you being very, very sensitive to what's going on. Yeah, create a great day. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who could receive some kind of value. Check out that video. It's Calm Down. It's on, if you go to the Body-Culinary page and you scroll down, you'll find it. It says calm down and protect your energy. And on that note, create a great day on purpose. And let me know if you're interested in joining in on the fast, and I'll send you that information. See you soon.